Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 12, 2025 Long Range Planning Committee meeting on the Comprehensive Plan Update. We'll be holding a hybrid public meeting which enables remote electronic participation as legally authorized by the Code of Virginia per the Planning Commission's electronic meeting policy that was adopted on July 7, 2022. Do we have any Planning Commission or members of the LRPC participating remotely? I assume we do.
There are, yes.
Okay, great. This meeting is being recorded for our public records and will be posted on the Arlington County Commission Meetings YouTube page. Avoid sharing any personal information that you would not like to be made public. At this time, I'd like to orient everyone to our hybrid environment and cover a few specifics about how tonight's meeting will be run. Members of the public may attend the meeting here in person or electronically by using the Microsoft Teams link provided on the LRPC web pages, the county's events calendar, and the email notification sent to LRPC Zoco email subscribers. Additionally, there is a dial-in phone option for those who wish to use it. For our planning commissioners who are joining us virtually, if anyone loses internet connectivity during today's meeting, please reconnect with us by phone. Please also keep your phones and devices muted until you're called upon. Turn off sound to any other devices around you to minimize interference. For our virtual attendees using Microsoft Teams, please turn off your video feed. I'll address when it's appropriate to turn it on in a moment. The Microsoft Teams meeting chat is now active and it will serve two purposes: to assist participants who need technical support and for participants to pose brief clarifying questions to the larger audience. While the clarifying questions will be monitored, they will not be formally acknowledged. Staff may address those comments as appropriate. The Teams chat should not be used for discussion or inappropriate statements. Those who are planning to provide public comment may only do so at the end of the meeting, as the chat may not be used for that purpose. All public comments must be shared verbally for the record during the assigned public testimony periods. Also, when you do speak in here, speak up loudly because microphones are above us, and we want everybody who's participating remotely to be able to hear you. For LRPC members, if commissioners participating virtually wish to be recognized to speak on an item during the course of the meeting, please turn on your video feed and raise the virtual hand in Teams. I, as well as staff, will monitor the video feed. Do we have any commissioners who've joined us by telephone without a video option?
I don't see any numbers.
Doesn't look that way. Okay, great. For members of the public who'd like to provide feedback and comment, unlike the Planning Commission with regular meetings, the LRPC agenda items are not public hearings. Therefore, public comment is at the LRPC chair's discretion. And the chair is exercising that discretion tonight. Our chair, Sarah Steinberg, who is just a bit late, will be calling on speakers at the end of the meeting after the committee discussion is concluded. Members of the public attending virtually will speak first, followed by the in-person attendees. Speaking time allotted will depend on the number of speakers we have this evening. In-person attendees, please add your name to the speaker list that's on the table by the wall over here. For virtual attendees, please indicate in the chat that you'd like to provide comment, and your name will be added to our list of speakers. Ms. Alfonso Ahmed here will acknowledge your request in the Teams chat. When virtual attendees are called upon to speak, you must unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon that's located on your meeting command bar. The moderator does not have the ability to unmute you. You will be muted when your time has concluded. As an alternative, public comment may also be provided on the public comment form posted on the LRPC webpage. And finally, this is a public forum. Tonight's meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the county's website. All information associated with tonight's meeting, whether written or spoken, is subject to the Freedom of Information Act requirements. There. That done, I'm Jim Lantelmi. I'm standing in right now until Sarah arrives. I'm a member of the Planning Commission, and before we do anything else, why don't we go around the table and introduce everybody? Again, I'm Jim Lantelmi.
That's Asha Alfonso Ahmed with the Planning Division.
Jennifer Smith, Planning Division. Next, Steve Robertson's Planning Commission.
David Howell, Forestry and Natural Resources Commission.
Van Heim Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
Eric Berkey with the Planning Commission.
Paula Waddell, Planning Commission.
Sarah Barker, Economic Development Commission. Adriana Torres, the House Planning Commission.
And against the wall behind Eric.
Bill Richardson, Donaldson Land Civic Association.
And ma'am, your name?
Mariah Myers, Boston, Virginia Square.
Great.
Association.
Starting down there?
Yeah, my name is Tony Steiner. I'm with the Planning Commission.
Hi, I'm Rob Sandola with the Climate Change, Energy and Environment Commission.
Roger Feigl from Ryan Park.
Just take the table.
Somebody,
Oh, table.
Yeah.
Alex Foster with the AJLRB.
Savelle with the Transportation Commission.
Rana Abugazali, Planning Division and Lead Project Manager.
Mira Shinners with the Park and Rec Commission.
Karen O'Don, Disability Advisory Commission.
starting, going down, from you down to there.
Jeff Williams,
Hi, Jeff.
Pentagon City resident.
Eleanor Schwartz, I live in Barcroft.
Richard Engel, I live in Boulevard Manor.
Bob Benson, I'm on the Forestry Commission, but I'm here individually.
Jean Clem, resident.
Jason Schwartz, resident of Courthouse.
Andrew Bryant, resident of Claremont.
And back here.
Gerald Franklin, Barcroft.
Scott Miller, resident of Donaldson Run.
Tina Kuklinski Miller, Donaldson Run.
Very good. Thank you. So, and then why don't we go to our online people so we can identify who's who? See, yes, how do we start that start?
What I would do is let's go in alphabetical order. I think
Okay.
they can see it also on their end. So I
Okay.
can call them up, maybe Alexander Colshorn.
Alexander Colshorn. I live in Vassam.
Thank you. Alice Hogan.
I'm Alice Hogan. I'm with the Navaja Arlington Alliance, Northern Virginia Affordable Housing Alliance.
Thanks, Alice. Alyssa Tope.
Hi, Alyssa Tope. I'm with the Arts Commission and Public Art Committee.
Thank you. Bob Donnelly.
Unmute. You're muted, Mr. Donnelly.
All right, we'll go to Brooke Alexander.
Yes, Brooke Alexander, Ashton Heights.
Thank you. Michael Cornfield.
Hi, I'm with the Tech Commission.
Thank you, Michael. David Patton.
I'm David Patton. I'm a transportation planner for the county.
Thank you, Deborah E.
Hi, I'm Deborah Eckbreath, and I live in the Lorckham House condominiums.
Thank you. DH. DH. All right, we'll skip. Elizabeth Fields.
That's
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, hi, Elizabeth Prio, and I'm with the Disability Advisory Commission.
Thank you. Eric Goodman.
Hi, I'm with the Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I'm an alternate. Pam Van Hine is our main representative there. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Jackie Snelling. Jackie.
Jackie, you're muted.
Lion Village and Civic Federation.
Thank you. Jeremy Walsh or Welsh Loveman.
I'm a resident in Arlington.
Thank you, Jeremy. Jill Barker.
Yes, I'm with the Park and Rec Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. John Kilpatrick.
Hi, that's Kirkpatrick. I'm with the Arlington Neighborhoods Advisory Committee. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, John. Julie Mangus. Julie. All right, we'll skip Karen Guevara.
Karen Guevara, Planning Commission.
Thank you, Karen. Ken Matskin.
Yes, Ken Matskin with Ashton Heights Civic Association.
Thank you. Linda Scott.
Hi, Linda Scott, resident Ashton Heights.
Thank you. Marilyn McAllis.
Marilyn McAllis, and Disability Advisory Commission.
Thank you. Natalie U. Roy. Natalie? All right. We'll go to Nia Bagley.
Nia Bagley, Planning Commission.
Thank you. Peter Rusolo.
Yes, I'm Peter Russolo with Arlingtonians for a Sustainable Future.
Thank you. Rick Epstein.
Rick Epstein, Arlington Forest, and Arlington's for upzoning transparency.
Thank you. Sharon V.
Sharon Valencia, resident, Boston, Virginia Square.
Thank you, Sharon. Stephanie D.
Good evening, Stephanie Derrick. I'm resident of Rivercrest and property as well in Highview Park.
Thank you. Wait, I lost my Stephanie Tabor.
Hi, Stephanie Tibor, Donaldson Run.
Thank you, Thomas Wiles. Thomas. All right, we'll move on. Matt Weinstein.
Matt Weinstein, Economic Development Commission.
All right, William.
William Way, Commission on Aging.
Okay, I'm sure I missed others that probably joined while I was calling out names. Does anyone, did anyone that did not introduce themselves, could they speak up? Sarah?
Wendy
Hi.
Allen.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, say that again.
Wendy Allen, Donaldson Run.
Thank you, Wendy. Anyone else that we missed online?
Not online, but hi, Sarah Steinberger chairing this meeting. I have a toddler. He did not cooperate.
All right, I think there's just one phone number I need to verify. If someone could, whoever's on the 703-623-7676, could you identify yourself, please?
Yeah, that's me, Wendy Allen.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. All right. And I think all right, I think we've gotten everybody, so we can go ahead. Thank you.
Great. I understand we've already done the introduction. Thank you, Jim. Apologies again. So are we up to the presentation portion for staff? Great. Take it away. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for attending. My name is Rana Abu Ghazali, and I am a principal planner with the Arlington Planning Division, and also the lead project manager on the comprehensive plan. So I'm going to take you through a journey. Some of it is a refresher. Some of it is what we have done so far in terms of community engagement. So as I said, a bit of an overview of the comprehensive plan update project, a brief one. The project deliverables, as we had in a prior kind of meeting when we met last time, and also as part of our community engagement, a refresher on that is that it includes an introductory chapter for the comprehensive plan that will have data about life in Arlington today and projections for the future, an overview of the county's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges, or SWOTs, either statistics or things that have been, identified as successes or challenges, but also from the community's perspective in terms of what they see, the weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges, as well as strengths. We're also aiming to update our current comprehensive plan goals and objectives with guiding principles that reflect people's lived experience and align with the community needs and values. And it will have an overview of the 12 comprehensive plan elements and how they work together to support our current county's goals, as well as Arlington's vision as an overall. And then it should have, like that introductory chapter, an outline of the process for any future comprehensive plan update elements to align with those guiding principles. principles. A lot of them are actually aligned with some of the things that we are proposing, but some, as I said, as per code, we're required to look at the comprehensive plan every 5 years and see what additional updates are needed. And that for the elements, they're done on on each department's timeline, who manages them. But it will help to have an outline to see, how we can align with those guiding principles. It's important to note, again, that this new chapter and part of this phase will not change any of the current existing 12 comprehensive plan elements, nor is it aimed to change the county's vision, any of the zoning or the land uses. In terms of updating the goals and objectives with Arlington's guiding principles, which have been established in the 60s, and hopefully they're up for kind of a refresher. As a starting point, we are using the county's, we're using the American planning principles as a starting point and as kind of a regional best practice for comprehensive plans. And those principles include the following: the livable built environment.
So I think maybe some folks on the internet, friends, maybe aren't muted. If you are not presenting, and that's really only the one person in the room, please.
I muted them.
Okay, never mind. You've been muted. Stay muted until it's time to talk. Thank you. Apologies.
Thank you. No worries. So we have the livable built environment as one principle, as I said, interwoven equity, harmony with nature, health and safe community, resilient economy, and responsible regionalism. Those kind of guiding principles and their statements are on our webpage if you need more details, but we had discussed them kind of in detail in the last LRPC meeting. So those APA guiding principles as a starting point, coupled with the community input and responses that we have received through the engagement, which I will go through, where we are on that, will hopefully enable us to get a tailored set of guiding principles for Arlington County that are unique to us. And it's not just these 6 principles, it's kind of edits even to the titles or the statements, but also if there's gaps in those 6 principles and kind of suggesting new guiding principles as well is what we're looking for in terms of feedback. So in terms of timeline, again, as a refresher, in 2024, this is when we started the pre-planning and did some kind of tools that helped us with the outreach, including the Community Vulnerability Index map. In the spring and summer, we were busy with the start of the focus group meetings and a spring online feedback opportunity. The fall of 2025, where we are now, we have concluded, our community meetings and we've done pop-up events, street canvassing, and there's an online feedback opportunity that closes on November 16. So we're really looking for you to help us kind of do a final push and get as many responses as we can. And that online form actually asks the same questions that we were asking throughout our different engagements, be it the focus groups or the community meetings as well, and as part of our pop-ups too. For the winter of 2025-2026, this is when we will be drafting the introductory chapter. Following the analysis of all of the responses, there will be a round of public feedback and hopefully will be followed by the county board action, and then recommendations for any next steps. For phase 2, anything that would require updating for the comprehensive plan elements as well, for the county board to let us know if there is appetite to continue based on the discussion with staff. Now on to the next part, which is the community engagement progress update. So in terms of engagement opportunities, so far we have had 10 focus group meetings. We have met with various sectors of the community, the Black and African American community, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, East and South Asian community, low-income renters. We actually divided that group into 2. One of those workshops, with the help of our great Natasha, was actually facilitated fully in Spanish. So that was wonderful to see. And then we also met with people with disabilities, teens, the LGBTQIA+, and the business and development community. So we really tried to kind of have a diverse range in terms of community input, as a first step in the focus groups. And then we also continued with the spring online feedback form and then the community meetings as well. So we had 2 virtual and 2 in-person. The 2 in-person and 1 of the virtual allowed for simultaneous interpretation. And we were pleased to see that used by members of our community. And then the virtual, there was 1 English only that concluded November 6th. So we just almost finished. So we're just starting to see some of the key takeaways from those meetings. We also did pop-ups in 7 locations, street canvassing in 9 locations. And as I said, the 2 online feedback forms, 1 in the spring and 1 in the fall, that is currently closing in November 16. We also in the spring and summer, we recruited 5 community liaisons that really were, instrumental in kind of digging deep within the community. We, deliberately asked for having bilingual community liaisons. So 2 of them spoke Spanish, 1 spoke Arabic, 1 spoke Amharic. So those were one of the top languages also spoken in Arlington. And they were really able to get some of the people to attend to our community meetings. They were instrumental in attending the pop-ups, the street canvassing, distributing our outreach material, and even doing one-on-one outreach. So I will go over that even in terms of hours of how effective that was. And we had support also from our county board liaisons. We had Maureen Coffey and Susan Cunningham, who attended our staff-led events in terms of community meetings, gave welcoming remarks, and even in prep for those meetings, shared any things that they heard from the community and helped us promote the project for awareness and identify any key challenges or opportunities. We also had the newsletter that went out last week, and it went out every 2 weeks. First of 4 issues went out September 26th, and we're hoping to even have an additional one just to wrap things up and also advocate for the online feedback form to help people fill that out as well. And then we had the LRPC progress update. We had one in May 27th where we discussed the guiding principles in detail, what is missing in those statements, and this current meeting as well to give you an update on where we are in terms of the public engagement. So in terms of the focus group meetings, we had met with 100 participants. About 2/3 of them, if you can see the demographics section, 2 of them were, 2/3 of them, sorry, were female, and about 1/3 were male, 1% non-binary, 1 didn't prefer to answer. The age was kind of the majority was in the 30 to 39 or in the highest kind of there, as well as good representation from all of the age brackets. In terms of ethnicity for the focus groups, Hispanic was amongst the highest. The type of homes, apartments or condos were amongst the highest. And in terms of language, we had English followed by Spanish and a few Arabic participants as well. And even within the focus groups, we had a few who were also comfortable speaking both languages. Some were Amharic, some had, other languages as well. Those are a few pictures of our events and, shows the engagement of the different, related to the different guiding principles. So it was throughout all of those focus groups, it was really a very engaged discussion. It really allowed us to peek into the lived experience of, the participants, their backgrounds, where they live, where they come from, the cultural significance that they can bring, the ethnic significance. And it was really a rich discussion that allowed us to get, more clarity on how we can make those guiding principles unique to Arlington. So in terms of what we heard, some of the key takeaways related to livable built environment was housing equity and affordability. Doesn't come as a surprise. It was kind of consistent throughout the different engagements. Access to amenities was also high on the list. In terms of interwoven equity.
It's right.
We had
Address it and.
Sorry, we still have some folks who have not muted themselves or been muted. So just a reminder, please. Thank you.
All right, so in terms of interwoven equity, inclusion, dignity was kind of big also, and accessibility, and the importance of belonging and recognition. For harmony with nature, sustainable infrastructure, and environmental justice was kind of big there. In terms of health and safety, safety specifically in housing, in schools, and in other public buildings, having crime and drug-free parks, and better safety for pedestrians and cyclists were some of the issues discussed. Under resilient economy, job access and workforce development and training was really big on the list there. And under responsible regionalism, inclusivity and kind of community engagement in what matters also as part of us being surrounded by other jurisdictions, and the need for that regional coordination, especially when it comes to housing, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to having a consistent experience related to transportation, etc. So in terms of what was kind of very important during those focus group meetings, safety, interestingly, ranked quite important. Equity ranked second, followed by livability, community and economic resilience, health, sustainability, and then responsible regionalism. So it kind of allowed us to peek a little bit about, what is really important for those focus groups in terms of the discussion. Doesn't mean, any was kind of discarded, but it means some valued some of those, terms or guiding principles more. Now, in terms of what we heard also for Arlington's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges, I'm not going to go through all of this in detail, but you can see that under strengths, livability, under livability part of the strengths, schools or transportation as well as recreation ranked really high, equity and the diversity of Arlington as well. Under weaknesses, the high rents, some lack of trust also in the government structures, and the high cost of doing business. So those were some of the topics discussed. Under equity, in terms of opportunities, better outreach to underrepresented communities was highlighted. And under resilient economy, job training programs, as I have mentioned before, and expanding green initiatives as well, or green incentives. Under challenges, population growth was brought as one of the challenges, language and technology barriers as well, and then inclusion and understanding of individuals with disabilities and their needs. So that was something that, was highlighted in some of our focus groups. Now, for our spring online feedback form, in terms of demographic data, we can see that the highest percentage was people 70 and above. The gender was almost equally divided through female and male, but mind you, those are only the people who responded with demographic data because it's not mandatory. And then kind of the ethnicity, the majority of the people who responded to the demographic data were white. And then initial key takeaways from the spring online feedback form. Some of the strengths that were highlighted were access to services and amenities. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them in detail. Diversity and inclusion also resonated with the focus group as well. Transit, access, and walkability. Some of the weaknesses were related to budget allocation and spending transparency. Housing affordability as well was one of them. Overdevelopment, congestion. Under opportunity for the budget was directing resources towards equity-focused planning and essential infrastructure, sustainable development and smart growth, and improving and expanding transportation infrastructure. And then some of the key highlights related to challenges was, rising housing costs, again, not a surprise, and the displacement risk that comes with it, and then climate change impact, and funding and fiscal constraints as well. Now moving on to what we heard as part of the LRPC feedback in May of 2025 in terms of what was missing in the guiding principles. Attainable housing was one of them, adding the word welcoming, to our statement, biophilic design under livable built environment, accessibility, under interwoven equity, education and lifelong learning for youth and adults. Mental health, emotional and physical, was also big in terms of things that were highlighted during that meeting. Under harmony with nature, biophilia, respect for nature, and the contributions of nature and its ecosystem to the human well-being, not just what we contribute to nature. So those were some of the comments. Under health and safe community, quality housing, mental health again was big, highlighting disparities across several indicators, mitigating public health risks and emergency response. Under resilient economy, ensuring Arlington is an attractive place for business owners to start and maintain a business, and a fiscally responsible government. Under responsible regionalism, using collaborative, to describe the relationship with our regional partners, and the need to be cognizant, using the guide term when we're talking about being in a geographic center of a larger area, and then what we do in Arlington actually impacts. Other things that were highlighted in the past LRPC meeting was education, as I said, and lifelong learning, fiscally responsible government, which resonated also with some of the focus groups and the community comments in using that as a separate, maybe guiding principle. Key concepts also to emphasize was the interconnectedness and the interdepartmental collaboration, data-driven goals in terms of supporting our evidence-based metrics and measuring progress, to allow for us to guide our decisions effectively, inclusive public engagement, and clear prioritization of the goals within the plan to make them actionable and aligned with our community. Now, moving on to the in-person community meetings. So we had those on October 14, George Mason University, October 28th in the Arlington Trade Center. About 68 people showed up. As I said, our community board liaisons provided welcoming remarks, and each event drew English, Spanish, Arabic, and Amharic speakers, people who speak that language, and we provided American Sign Language also for the October 28th event at resident request. For our virtual community meetings, we had two. One on November 5 with language interpretation, 28 attendees. One on November 6, English only, we had 26 attendees. Those are some of the pictures of the in-person ones. And these are some of the initial things that we heard from the community meetings in the in-person ones, because we had just finished, as I said, the virtual ones. So we're analyzing the data. But in terms of what was important, what was highlighted as important was livable built environment, followed by harmony with nature, health and safety, interwoven equity, resilient economy, and then responsible regional. In terms of the pop-ups that we did and the street canvassing progress update, we had pop-ups at various locations, and the total interaction was 2,421. Total surveys was 230, and total flyers was 2,818 with English and Spanish flyers as well. We had street canvassing at 9 locations, in diverse areas around within the county, and it really allowed us to get people to usually those people are, less inclined to sit and talk with us. So we just distribute flyers and encourage them to fill out the survey. And it's also important to note that our community liaisons outreach and progress efforts, out of those print material that was distributed, almost half of them was distributed through our community liaisons. They had a total of 183 hours of outreach. 84 hours were individualized, meaning talking person to person amongst those 5 community liaisons, then attending our community meetings, pop-ups, and street canvassing around 98 hours. And then, as you can see, in terms of residents educated about the comprehensive plan update, through the flyers, through additional or through the individualized outreach was 1,015. Residents asked to participate in the focus groups or any other community events was 623, and we had 105 residents who agreed to participate. If they ended up showing that, that wasn't in control, but we kind of, in asking those were the people who agreed. And those are some of the pictures, again, of our various pop-ups, street canvassing. I can point out to one of our community liaison here, helping us, as well as in those pop-ups, 2 of them, Sarah and Hayam, and then Ben. So kudos to all of our community liaisons for really helping us in expanding reach. And finally, also for our communications team, so far for the online feedback form for this fall, we have about 403 participants with a total of 3,000 responses. So we're really hoping for your help to kind of do another final push to help us, which is part of our next steps, is since the online feedback form closes on November 16th, we will be able to then prepare and finalize the event summaries and do the analysis, then draft the new introductory chapter with updated guiding principles. And then the next update with the LRPC will be in early 2026, where tentative discussion topics include the draft guiding principles, so going back to you with that, and then the introductory chapter outline or highlights. And so I can kind of leave the final slide to you, Sarah, to kind of hopefully guide the discussion in terms of whether the feedback resonates and helping us promote.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the, update on sort of where we're at since last time. It's been several months, so we're back here again. It's nice to see you all and online people. Hello. So I'm not going to do clarifying questions because I think this is really an update on sort of status to where we're at. So I think we're just going to move more into the discussion. I do think it makes sense, in addition to sort of the questions, put forth, for discussion, does the feedback highlighted so far resonate with you? How so, in what sense? And then, talking through how we can help, promote the ongoing and online engagement, which is open through November 16th. So just in case anyone missed that, respond now, tell your networks. So we can talk through that, but I do think it probably makes sense to maybe talk through some of the focus areas, use those as sort of, those 6 areas as the genesis of, where folks have feedback. So I think I will sort of throw those out, as topic areas of discussion, and we'll start, I believe, livable built environment is the first one. So if there's anyone who has any feedback on sort of, in response, oh, yeah, if you could put the list from one of your slides. Yes, I know that one, sure. I like the one actually where they were, a little larger. Also, I'm furthest away from the screen. So yes, I like that. I could read it. So I like this. So talking about livable built environments, I think we'll start there. If anyone has any feedback you'd like to share or any reactions to the feedback that has been shared by staff so far, I will call on people. Or we can move to the next one. Yes, please.
Karen O'Donnell, Disability Advisory Commission. We're happy to see the access to amenities because we have brought to the attention of our board liaison, JD Spain, and staff that many amenities that folks are paying for in Arlington County for people with disabilities and others, they cannot access them. So we have begun to document them. And we are having them carried to Richmond because the Virginia Construction Code is currently being updated, but it's a great opportunity in this plan to put forward our support for access to amenities for everybody. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, so you, yeah.
So Health Transportation Commission, yeah, I think that access to amenities, I think I agree. That's a really important thing. And just to add to that, from the transportation perspective, for me, it's ensuring that people have transportation access to these amenities, but not just by cars, right? So prioritizing that car-free access to things like schools and grocery stores and parks especially. And so this kind of ties into like the stuff that we do on the with the updating the master transportation plan, but specifically within the comprehensive plan, larger perspective, it's being explicit about, hey, improving people's access to important amenities, but by all modes of transportation, right? Not just, because a lot of things are accessible by car, but sometimes things aren't as accessible by transit, like parks and the like. So that key element there.
Yes.
Yeah, Jim Lantelli, Planning Commission. Housing affordability is probably is nationwide number one issue right now. And certainly it is for Arlington. We're no different. We're almost like a poster child for the problem. And every single one of these things feeds into housing affordability in one way or another. So it's like housing affordability is like most important, and probably the first 5 most important thing. It's just that is the overarching issue really for this county right now.
Thank you. Anything else specifically on livable built environment? Yes.
Also for affordability that wasn't really mentioned is childcare. It's a huge expense. And it's killing like so many people having children. About the transportation, I agree that access to all students is terrific. There wasn't too much in your analysis about transit. But I looked through the reports, which were excellent. And I highly recommend that people read them. They're really well done. They talk about it needs to be reliable, frequent, more routes, and affordable. And that many people talk about it needs to be free. But for certain subgroups, certainly we have to have a better way of making it affordable, even if that needs to be free. And I am one of the many people on the transportation refresh. And I want to note that December 7th is our online survey closes. And one of the things that we're doing right now is the multimodal priority maps. And if you care about where transit routes are and bike routes, you need to look at these and send them comments. And this is your opportunity. I mean, they can change over time, but this is a good point in time to get your opinion in there. So that's it for now.
Thank you. Yes.
I'll just briefly, Eric Burke again, Planning Commission. I'll briefly align myself with Commissioner Lantelli's comment about affordability. There was I think it was an editorial today, best places to raise children in America, the Washington Post. And you could, put your locality in, it was 4 metrics. It was affordability, education quality, safety, and policy support. And they would rank localities on scores from 0 to 100. So Arlington, and like a lot of studies where they've came to these conclusions. So on education quality, we were 77, safety, we were 71. On policy support, so that's things like for kids, like access to healthcare, things like that, we were 82. On affordability, Arlington, Virginia was 0. 0 out of 100. Wow. This is not just a housing affordability crisis now or supply crisis. I view this as an existential crisis for the ability for people to have families, to stay here, to live here. This touches all aspects, all age levels, like every part of our community. So we think about comp plans. To me, that has to be front and center. And I think what we heard from folks is them basically articulate that.
Yes.
If I may just to add on that, like I think a big part of that is not just affordability, but that affordability of diverse housing options, so that you're not just making affordable like 1-bedroom apartments, right? And expanding that affordability to housing that actually is conducive to raising a family. Very valuable. Yeah.
I just want to associate myself with that comment because family size units here is something we are in dire need of.
Yes.
In regards to affordable housing, sorry, also distributed throughout Arlington County. Because I actually used to live when I was younger in South Arlington, but I went to North Arlington for schools. And I think that was a big contributor to me later going on and doing architecture and all these things. And I don't know if it would have been the same if I would have stayed in South Arlington and not seen both sides of it. At the same time, I think people that maybe are more affluent can learn a lot from kids and communities that are not as fortunate. And we're seeing the result in our country, I think, of not having enough of that. Being able to work together, different communities.
I'm gonna direct us to interwoven equity as the next guiding principle. I think a lot of the comments that I was just hearing probably also apply to interwoven equity. If anyone has something else they would like to add to interwoven equity, please add it now, but we don't need to repeat comments that have already been made. I think, the affordability topic has, and as Commissioner Tommy suggested and others agree, does interweave with all of the principles, before us. Okay. Harmony with nature. Oh, sorry, internet people. AT, you have a hand raised. Is that someone in the group who says that?
I can't tell.
Okay.
I think that's me, Alyssa Tope, AT.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's a.
Yes, you may speak.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm from the Arts Commission and Public Art Committee, and just kind of echoing a lot of the affordability and access comments. Another topic that's come up a lot for me in my work as an urban designer is the idea of availability as part of these things. And I know it's just another A word in a lot of cases, but I think the important difference between accessibility and availability is accessibility is just the ease which something can be reached, whereas availability is the presence and also sufficiency of it being there in the first place. So I think it's really tied into this idea of affordability as well, and can hopefully be part of the language that we use to talk about these moving forward.
Thank you. Harmony with nature. Yes.
Yeah, I'm Rob Sandow with the Climate Change Energy Environment Commission. Lots of times the climate change and climate action is associated with the harmony with nature, but I'd just like to point out, and I think this is true of all the principles, that it's hard to separate them. We have in livability, there's air quality and walkability. In equity, we have energy burden on low-income residents. In safety, we have flooding and extreme heat, which are impacts of climate change. In economy, we have opportunities for green jobs and opportunities to lower energy bills with energy conservation action. And in regionalism, we're really talking about metro funding and shared infrastructure, which relates to some of the transportation interests. So to the extent that we can weave climate action throughout all of these principles, that would be really helpful for our commission, and I think for the community.
I will associate myself with those comments, and just, in terms of the particular resilient economy aspects of that, and sort of where we can create new jobs and sort of build a focus center for, where we can bring work that's meaningful and, also allows people to have, the affordability to live here. Okay, anything else on harmony with nature? Yes.
So on a related piece to the sustainable infrastructure, I think there's another angle of sustainable building development. Making sure that new buildings have electric heat pumps, electrification, electric backup generators, all these sorts of, on-site generation of energy, using the footprint of these buildings that are very large in a lot of cases and emit a lot of carbon, and really getting at that piece of it as well, and to make this community more sustainable throughout the future. I think is very important.
Okay.
And on that
You first, and then yes.
and it's a quick one. On that note, if we could add some sun path studies with some of the buildings that are presented, because I've seen recently a lot of buildings that have been presented to the commission that have glazing everywhere, regardless of the orientation. And so maybe
having more I mean, I don't know if it fits with this, but having these studies that are a little bit larger than just, we can fit 3,000 people in this one footprint, like where, how is everybody occupying the building in a comfortable way?
Yes.
Yeah, just want to associate with those comments and add to them that we think adding some specific language like building decarbonization, infrastructure resilience, clean energy transition, these kind of terms could be under harmony with nature or somewhere woven throughout this first chapter, so we can get a little bit more specific with it. And the green building incentive policy and green building in Arlington is undergoing revision right now, and we want to see more.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go online.
Yeah.
I see a hand raised,
And he's, Commissioner.
but I.
John Kilpatrick?
Yes.
So thanks. If this is the right category to talk about parks, at RNAC, we have most civic associations who are members, and they propose projects, among which are parks. So I encourage more note on trying to find creative ways of creating green space, expanding tree canopy, and environmental preservation of our parks.
Thank you. Is she on the motion? Stephanie?
Hi.
Yes.
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 Stephanie?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm concerned also with the parks, and I'm very concerned about what's going to happen with the deer population. What I understand, and I don't know if this is true, is that there will be some sharpshooters killing the deer, and I'm very concerned about that. That seems quite cruel.
Okay, thank you. I do appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah, so I associate myself with all of these comments about how some of the key factors in each of these categories relate to each other. In fact, this is the focus group takeaways, what they were particularly interested in. And obviously, if it was the cornerstone there, it's got to be. But if you look at the full text of the guiding principles descriptions, you will find that the key facets of those are all interwoven with all of the others by design to have a mutually reinforcing set of principles to enhance the overall sort of the sum of the parts. So I think that's very good, and more detail on some points or adding a few things is great if that's what we want. But it's already set up to be something that not only will help connect all these together and actually create a holistic umbrella over all of the comp plan elements, but also can then cascade down into the guidance about how those elements get updated, which will in the future bring them even further together. So if you just look at those paragraphs, it really is remarkable how they both reference each other, but also in the concluding statements on each one, they talk about how each one serves the purpose of the comprehensiveness of the plan. And I think that's very valuable. So just to say, I think we're on a very good track with this. The engagement has been terrific, but whatever improvements we make will make it even better.
Okay, yes.
I will associate myself with that comment and the earlier ones. I'm with the Park and Rec Commission. And I'd just like to point out that all three of the groups that provided feedback, the focus group, the online responders, and the community meeting folks, all rated very high the importance of harmony with nature. And that was consistent through all three of those groups. It says a lot about the importance of our parkland to the livability of Arlington. And we want to make sure that we retain those parks in as healthy and natural state as we can going forward.
I'm gonna move us to health and safe community. I saw the online hand. Wow, this is really hard on my eyes.
Marilyn McAdams.
Is she a member?
Yeah, she is.
Okay, Marilyn, you're up.
Hi, thanks. It's Marilyn McAllis, the Disability Advisory Commission. Two things. I'm going to the third bullet for better safety for pedestrians and cyclists. Two things, and I think you'll see it again. I noted it again in chart 17, but inclusive engagement. One of the things that is a follow-on to what Karen Audent, who, by the way, is our brand new chair that's in your room and doing an astounding job leading our commission, is the user testing and user acceptance. One of the things that we put in a video into a very large presentation for access to amenities includes another person that's already online trying to get into amenities in the building. If that had been done, now if we get the codes improved or the codes changed and advanced in Richmond, then it would happen in the building and design opportunity. So you're not having to have it after the fact where people cannot use the amenities in apartments or condominiums or even the transportation issue is separate. But user testing and user acceptance, if we could start using people that have a disability, whether it's minor or not minor, of any sensory or physical, in the process of trying to determine what is safe and before it goes live. For pedestrians crossing the streets, we need to have the people that are challenged, both whether they're elderly, mildly impaired, or challenged, and then what I came from Northrop Grumman Aeronautical Company, that would be user testing and user acceptance. We don't do that yet in any community that I'm aware of across the country in this area of access to amenities, doing buildings. That particular group of elderly and or disability people with disabilities it's after the fact, and then you can't retrofit because there's not enough money. So enough about that. I've taken more time than I probably should on that, but I would recommend considering user testing, user acceptance in the life cycle of trying to determine what's safe for pedestrians and cyclists, no matter whether they're a cyclist or they're disabled, in the process of determining anything in a long-range plan. But I do want to make sure that you guys know that you have one of the amazing human being in that room that is our new chair. She is a huge background, and I hope at some point, if there's time at the end, that she can tell you what we're all about now.
Okay, I'm gonna go to another online hand that I see. Tom.
Hi, this is John from
Yep,
Arnak again.
Yeah.
Unless am I next?
Yeah, John, yes, you are,
Okay,
you are
great.
speaking. We are listening to you.
Great. So even more than parks, one of the project types our neighborhoods request the most are sidewalks. And Arlington only has Arnak and Complete Streets, along with Missing Links, to address sidewalks, which the funding of which is not really sufficient to accomplish a major initiative for sidewalks throughout Arlington, which would greatly increase pedestrian safety and also making sure those sidewalks are sufficiently wide for people with disabilities and other people who might be, pushing strollers or various things to pass.
Thank you. Yes.
I agree with the last two speakers, obviously, and well, through the advisory group, once we get into policies and strategies, we're certainly going to be talking a lot about sidewalks, and I certainly will be pushing it for redoing the whole thing of how we do it. It's not working right now, and we hope, and all ideas are welcome. Appreciate that. Three other quick points. Safety in parks. I was really surprised by the comments that so many people felt unsafe in parks. Both environmentally, they're being exposed to trash and smoke and other hazards, dog poop, whatever. But just personally feeling safe. And I live in the National Landing area and we have wonderful parks, so I always feel safe enough that I go through them at all times safe. That's a big concern of mine. Parks should be safe, they should be comfortable, they should be welcoming to everyone. The other one is, that came up several times. Many different groups, whether it's teenagers, people with disabilities, aging populations, different ethnic groups need safe, free spaces to meet. And we don't have that. We have very little of that. That is a problem in our neighborhood. There are people who are active in the community, like to get together and talk about things. There's no place to do it without buying food or drinks. So that is a big need for the county. And for the teenagers, they talked about having programs for them, and we don't do that enough, and programs for other groups. So we need those. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, going to Tony, your head. Resilient economy. Sorry, thank you. Oh, sorry, was there another hand for the prior topic?
There is.
No, but for resilient economy. The floor is yours.
Oh, and it also just ties into your comment about safe spaces to congregate. Meant the Economic Development Commission, but want to focus on cultural infrastructure and arts infrastructure. So art galleries, theaters, performing arts spaces. We really are lacking those. A bunch of them have closed in the last few years. Those would help, and they also generate economic returns.
To tie in.
Yes.
And tie into that also, some of the things that we could do, it ties into a couple sections, but for preservation, in order to help tell stories, that brings in a lot of economic impact for tourism, especially if we could bolster that in South Arlington, bring some of those stories in, create a little bit more interwoven equity.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, I have online people. Who is EP?
So Elizabeth, Reels, I don't know if she's a commissioner, so if you don't mind. Okay, but.
Oh,
Go ahead.
this is Elizabeth. Do you want me to go now or?
Oh, sorry, which commission are you with?
Sorry, Disability Advisory Commission. My last
Is there
name is.
already someone representing Disability Advisory Commission here?
Yeah,
So I
Marilyn
think,
and
yeah,
Carrie.
okay, so you can speak during public comment. I believe we only have one commissioner per advisory group who's authorized, during as a representative, in this body, but we will make sure there's time for public comment. Thank you. Anyone else for resilient economy? Okay. Responsible regionalism. Oh, wait, Michael Cornfield.
Yes.
A commissioner. Michael, were you looking to speak about resilient economy or responsible regionalism? You can either be the last.
Resilient economy.
Great, you're the last speaker on resilient economy. Or you could have been the
Yes.
first speaker on responsible regionalism. I'm not picky.
So I'm here representing the Tech Commission, and there's an intricate relationship between technological innovation and a resilient economy. And there's a lot going on in Arlington. And I worry sometimes that the public is not suitably aware of everything that's going on, both in terms of opportunities and threats. And I'm referring, of course, to artificial intelligence, to robotics, to quantum computing, which is changing cybersecurity. I noted that the issue of access has come up in your focus groups, which is great. That's a big part of it. But there's more on that should be on the agenda, and I would like to see some of the outreach techniques that this body has used to survey the residents of Arlington, the focus groups, the other sorts of outreach. And I'd like to see technology issues more explicitly referenced and integrated with the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Who is W?
I don't know. We.
Hi,
Yeah, this is William. I identified myself earlier.
Okay, what commission are you with?
Commission on Aging.
Okay, this is the only rep. Okay, yeah,
Yes,
William, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you. So I wanted to follow up on the livable built environment. I didn't raise my hand at that point, but you know, more housing and more dense housing development helps older adults because they can walk to doctors' offices, to businesses, restaurants. You know, you can see the example in like the Langston and Harrison area, Cherrydale, Westover. You know, it's older adults can walk to those places, especially if they don't have the ability to drive anymore. Also, it reduces the isolation that they have. You know, if they need to drive somewhere, they may be more isolated when they can no longer drive, and having a place that is walkable is very important. Also, more housing implies more affordable housing, and that provides housing choices for older adults when they want to downsize. They may not always want to live in a single family house. They may want to be renters or in multifamily housing and be closer to amenities like the ones that I talked about. So I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, responsible regionalism. Okay, I will recognize you, and then I'm actually gonna recognize myself, so there you go.
Great. So two things on that. The first is, I think there's an opportunity for us to leverage like data collection, information sharing between our jurisdictions. I mean, data kind of drives the world, right? So if we can work with other jurisdictions or other partners when it comes to sharing information and sharing best practices, that can be pretty helpful for addressing a lot of these like really important issues like housing and transportation, which all the other jurisdictions, I'm guessing, are experiencing. The other thing related to transportation is I think there are really good opportunities for us being like geographically central to the region as kind of a hub for people moving through the county, right? People aren't just moving within Arlington County. We go to DC for work, we go to other jurisdictions for work, people are moving through the county. So like projects like the Crystal City, VRE station improvements, Better Bus Initiative, these kinds of projects are really valuable. And I think they're valuable in that they make our transportation network a regional network. And so I think we have an opportunity here in Arlington County, explicitly in our comprehensive plan, also in our master transportation plan, to promote a regional transportation and specifically a regional transit system. And my head always goes to rail, things like Metro Rail, VRE. They don't operate as regional rail systems, and that is a huge problem for us. The rest of the world is light years ahead of us when it comes to regional transportation, and the US lags behind significantly. And it's just an opportunity so that people can move and access opportunities, not just within the county, but access opportunities from, outside of the county, and then vice versa, attract people from outside the county.
Thank you. So recognizing myself, I think one thing that's really been highlighted over sort of the tumultuous year that has, is still happening. I think it's important to realize that regionalism is not simply, what Alexandria is doing, what our other sort of Virginia counties are doing, but also what's happening in Maryland, what's happening in DC, and the interconnectedness of not just from a transportation standpoint, but from an economic standpoint, from sort of a community activism, engagement standpoint, all of the things and all the ways we are interconnected. And that's something that I've really seen. And I think that there are ways that, there's so much accessibility in terms of easy access, from transportation and other ways that we do, engage with, our regional neighbors. And I think that looking at, what the genesis of those relationships are and how we can do more when we work together is important. And so I think that's something that for me is really something that, I see as at the forefront of that particular topic. So AT again, I'm bad at this.
Alice, sorry, Tope.
Alice.
Yeah, no problem. Alyssa Tope from the
Sorry.
Planning Commission. or I'm sorry, Arts Commission and Public Art Committee. I just wanted to say, like, I remember when we were looking at all the various engagement, responsible regionalism seemed to be at the very bottom for everything. And I think part of that is because it's the largest topic in a sense, but I also see, so it's not something that people think about on a daily basis. In the same way that we do with, people's safety and health and livable communities. But I also really see this specific topic as interwoven through all of these different topics in so many different ways. When we are able to work on all these issues at a larger scale, we're better able to solve many of them. So I just wanted to put in a plug for responsible regionalism not being at the bottom of the priority list.
Just to clarify, I don't believe that this is like a ranked order. All of these topics are given equal weight, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was referring not to this specific list on the screen currently, but when we were going over the feedback from all the various engagement sessions.
No, that makes sense. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that this is not, in fact, a ranked choice situation. All of these are getting equal evaluation, credit, what have you. Okay, just thank you. I think that's an important point to make. Yes.
Can I say that I really would like Arlington County to do an in-depth analysis of what adaptive reuse really means to everybody, because we have a lot of buildings and we need to do something with them. And I think there are a lot of people, a lot of programs that could actually use them very effectively. The structure, the architecture of some of these buildings is very conducive to performing arts and galleries, like she was saying. There are all these different ways in which also engaging the teenagers between the ages of 16 and 21. They cannot drink, they don't have money, they don't know where to go. And so a lot of the stuff that, makerspace, all these activities that I can't even come up with, I just dropped off my son in college, and I know that those years when he was a WNL, it was hard to do this, do that. And so I put him he was a dancer for Cinetic, but now Cinetic is gone. And so, for instance, where do the other kids go? What are they doing? How are we using now that theater, for instance, which apparently is not being used right now? So there's a lot of these spaces that I'm really worried about. What are they doing? And they're dark at night. Doesn't help with the safety issue.
Okay. Anyone else yes.
I need to add to this comment because it's a bit related. I don't know if anybody remembers when the Safeway on Columbia Pike was a Safeway and then it became a community center.
Wow.
And it was very interesting because Arlington actually made it so that people could go and and it was so vibrant. We would have so many community events, and I was part of the Team Photo Project. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we would be able to meet for free. Once Arlington Mill was rebuilt, now you actually have to pay for renting those spaces. So looking into simple things like if we want to open programs for kids that no one's really making any money out of it, but they want to just have a place to meet. We used to do that before. It used to be for free. Now we charge. So
Phoenix Bikes is another.
yeah.
So I do want to, I'm cognizant of the fact that we have a lot of public speakers. So if there's this sort of last call for comments on responsible regionalism, anything else from the members of the LRPC for this purpose? Okay, I think we've heard some really great feedback this evening. If I do 90 seconds a person, how annoying is that for you? If I do 90 seconds a person, I can keep track of the time.
That's fine.
That's
fine.
Great. So public speakers, y'all will get 90 seconds each. That is 1.5 minutes. Someone else has raised a hand. Rick Epstein, is that a member of LRPC?
Yeah. Wait, let me check.
Hang
I
on.
think so. Rick, are you a member of a commission member?
No, I'm a resident of Arlington Forest.
Okay, so you're being added to our public speaker list. Okay, great.
Yeah.
We now have 15 public speakers. I can math in my head, called counting. Okay, so I do appreciate the members of the LRPC for having a substantive, conversation. Thank you to staff for, providing this update, Remind me again when we think we're coming back together again. And the online engagement is open now. Tell your friends through November 16th. What was the timeline? Just to reiterate, so we can center people. I promise public comment is coming soon.
You want to know the timeline?
Yes, the timeline. What was the time?
I think she,
Forget which slide that was.
Rana, she wants to.
Oh,
know
the
the time
timeline, sort of where
of
we are.
the, yeah.
Or the orientation slide. Where are we in time?
Oh, yeah,
We are here.
yeah.
Okay. In the fall. Okay. I cannot read that. What does that say? The next one? Thank you.
We're doing our community meet, we've done our community meetings, pop-up
Okay.
events, and the online feedback opportunity, which is closing on the 6th.
Okay. Okay, great. So we will be coming together again. It sounds like early 2026.
Yep.
And I look forward to hearing, how the rest of the engagement have gone and getting some of the feedback. At that point, we will hear how the second phase of the online engagement went as well. Okay, so
All right.
who is our first public speaker?
So we'll call the in-person.
Oh, yeah,
First?
in person. We'll do, that's a good point. We'll do in person in the room speakers first, and then we will go through all of the internet people.
Yes, and we actually have 17.
17 speakers, great. Nope,
All
that's
right.
fine, not a
I'll call
problem.
them in the order that they were signed in. There are 10 here and then 2 in the other room, which they will just turn on their camera and we can hear them from
Okay.
here. All right, so Eleanor Schwartz.
Yes, you have 90 seconds. Time
Okay.
is yours.
As a former chair of the Arlington Planning Commission, who served over 10 years on it, I appreciate the need to periodically review the comp plan. And also served on several of the other committees and commissions that are represented here tonight. But as I see it, the county is using this review to make another run at strengthening the underpinnings of the missing middle housing, PHO, that will result in random by right densification. To the detriment of a transit-oriented development policy that made sense for 50 years and still makes sense now. That meant focusing development near the metro stations and by extension, the metro corridors, protecting the neighborhoods. And Arlington needs to continue to pursue smart growth for which it has been recognized and to retain different density choices, mixed uses, green spaces, neighborhood, retail, and pedestrian or cyclist-friendly design. So I ask that you limit high density to 4 transit corridors, supporting the 2 existing metro corridors plus Columbia Pike and Langston Boulevard, while retaining lower density character in the remaining parts of the county. Also, preferably Arlington will limit dense development to within a half-mile radius of the metro stations. Yet, as Arlington approaches build out, it needs to focus on livability rather than trying to overstuff the neighborhoods. Also tempting as it may be to use abandoned or soon to be abandoned churches as dense housing
Thank you.
sites.
Thank you.
Okay. You've
Okay.
got this on paper.
Yeah, oh, we do have copies of, yes, copies of comments if they were provided before, or if you provide them afterwards, we'll still get copies of comments.
Yep. All right, so Bob
Who's next?
Benson.
I'm Bob Benson. I'm on the Forestry Commission, but I'm speaking individually tonight. I want to echo some comments that have been made that the APA principles are an integrated whole, not 6 individual silos. That livable built environment is more than just housing and amenities, as important as those are, but harmony with nature. Health and safety studies show that trees and nature contribute significantly to physical and mental health. Even harmony with nature has more than sustainable infrastructure and environmental justice, as vital as those elements are. Given that perspective, I see this exercise as a collection of all of our respective priorities. But more significantly, I see it as a potential critical decision point on whether we fundamentally change the nature of Arlington's low-rise residential neighborhoods and turn the county into a strictly urban county, which in my view would ruin the unique quality that makes Arlington so special. The future I want for my home county is a suburban county with an urban core along major transportation corridors, as you just said. With that vision, I still think that we have ample opportunity to meet all 6 of the APA principles, including affordable housing, without sacrificing the mix of neighborhoods that make Arlington special. And oh, by the way, saves our urban forest in the process. So as this initiative goes forward, it's in our common interest to ensure that the new comprehensive plan language specifically state our intention to retain a mix of urban residential neighborhoods and suburban residential neighborhoods and
Thank you.
urban neighborhoods along transportation corridors.
Thank you. Who's next?
Jason Schwartz.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Schwartz. I'm looking for a bright, prosperous, and housing abundant future. I want to see Arlington grow into a world-class urban community. To meet these goals that we have, density is a necessity. Density is what makes Arlington great. And, Arlington, again, we are, as was mentioned before, we are at the center of our metropolitan area, third largest combined statistical area in the country after New York and LA, DC, Baltimore. And I just want to highlight again, I was in Montreal and Quebec City for 10 days. I cycled 120 miles, visited over 100 parks, and visited, I believe, over 50 different neighborhoods. And I was just blown away with the vibrancy and vitality that was throughout the entire cities there, because they have the housing stock that supports people of all ages and backgrounds, families absolutely everywhere, parks filled with kids playing around, such a strong sense of community. And I was really inspired to see that, because I want to see Arlington with that vitality and openness that people can go to different neighborhoods and feel welcome and safe. And this is not just in the Francophone areas like Plateau, Villeray, Rosemont, but also the Anglophone areas, Outremont, Cochinev, also all over the island, everywhere. They have missing middle housing opportunities that provide small family-sized apartments, below 1,500 square feet, as well as studios and others for people of all ages and backgrounds and students, all together as one. And I really see that as really something that we should look to. Also, with biking infrastructure was absolutely insane. Transit, amazing. And the thing is that it's not just limited to small areas. This is across the entire island of Montreal and also Quebec City. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah.
Not me,
Barbara?
different Sarah.
We can skip me.
Okay,
Oh,
we'll
That was
skip
before I
you.
realized I could sit up.
Oh, okay, great.
Sure. All right, so
That was easy.
Andrew Bryant.
Evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Bryant. I lived in Arlington for many years. I grew up here, graduated from Arlington Public Schools, and want to live here for many years to come. Many of the problems that were voiced today, a major driver of them is the lack of housing options in many of Arlington's neighborhoods, and only support one type of home, one type of lifestyle, which works for some, but not for many, not for the diversity of people that we have in the county. So if we want to adequately address all the points in the guiding principles, making Arlington safer, improving access to transit, preserving access to nature, improving our cultural amenities, expanding our housing options, building more homes, and building denser homes will be critical to doing that. Thank you.
You. Margaret Bibble?
Bible.
Bible?
I have lived in Arlington for over 40 years and 3 different civic associations, but all in zip code 22201. So I think I have a perspective on the kind of growth that you're talking about. I currently live in Lyon Park, and I think that Lyon Park is the model for the kind of urban community, urban village that you're looking for. But I want to make sure that you address how communities that meet so many of the and integrate so many of the elements that you're talking about don't get run over by this push for development, for this push for increased density. So I just want to use my few minutes to tell you about Lyon Park. We are 6,300 inhabitants. The development began in 1919. We're within walking distance of several metros. We are 900 single-family houses, 1,600 apartments. We have condos and townhouses. We still have open spaces, backyards where we have trees and birds. And we also have the Lyon Park, which is the last remaining private park in Arlington County. And if we don't raise funds or do it ourselves, the grass doesn't get cut. And so I think you're going to be hearing a lot from Lyon Park in the next few years because we're active and we're concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Richardson?
In discussing the Melwood site plan, it became clear to me that some board members do not want to confine densification to transit corridors, which California's new SB 79 does, by the way. I suggested then that if we want to have that debate, let's do it in a transparent manner. We should expressly ask the public to weigh the 12 elements of the comp plan to figure out how, for example, to achieve our 40% tree canopy goal while ensuring adequate affordable housing. We need to adopt a principle known as concurrency in the form of adequate public facilities ordinances as state law allows in 15.2.223.1. These ensure that growth does not overwhelm the other key infrastructure elements in our plan. Instead, I think we are hiding the ball, as the June CivFed resolution points out. First, we're asking about APA principles that are kind of like mom and apple pie. Into the mold of those principles, one can pour any revision to the GLUP 1 and 10s without alerting the public to what is really at stake. Second, we're proceeding backwards. Before looking at how to accommodate the many elements of the plan, we are writing what amounts to an executive summary of our conclusions, providing the answers before even asking the questions. As the next step, we should engage civic associations and the public more transparently about how much densification they want and where. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Karen.
I yield my time.
Okay, you're gonna yield. Okay. Joshua Mandel or Handel? Sorry, Handel. I couldn't read it.
Joshua Handler.
Josh Handler. Here we go.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, we have 2 yields of time here. I'll get a minute and 45 seconds. I should check that. All right.
Time's up.
No, I'm up there. All right, thank you. Very good evening. First, the new comp plan should retain the key points of the original, including retention of the predominantly residential character of the county and limitation of intense development to limited and defined areas. This is an award-winning formula, and we don't want to encourage densification for densification's sake at the expense of neighborhoods and the loss of trees, while only enriching a small number of developers whose business model is tear downs to build expensive new housing in Arlington. Moreover, local government should be operationally focused on maintaining public service and safety. That is a principle that should be the foundation of its efforts. Residents likely want their tax dollars and staff time focused on having our first responders and police well staffed, having top-notch schools, maintaining clean water supply, ensuring our transportation systems are in good repair and safe, ensuring our parks and community centers are in good shape, and stormwater runoff and sewage is being addressed. Second, the approach of using the APA 6 guidelines is questionable. They are feel-good words most people would probably agree with, but are poorly defined and could be interpreted variously. For example, 6% of the county's current budget, some $100 million, is for housing support programs. Additional funds that could be considered equity go for transport or food assistance. These are important programs and deserve support. But does interwoven equity mean everyone's taxes or rents will increase to pay more for these and new programs? If new ones, which ones? Finally, staff suggests we need new language to accomplish things, but the current language has not kept Arlington from becoming a great place to live. However, more attention to the natural environment would be timely in the new comp plan. Thank you.
Thank you. So Maria Myers?
Hi. So thanks for this. A request to staff would be in the comprehensive plan, I request more transparency related to this issue of the features shown related to specific locations for future public facilities, such as school, library, public owned spaces. And that's important because the determination that a facility is a feature shown has significant procedural implications under Virginia Code Section 15.2-2232. And what effectively that means is that there ends up being an expedited review without maybe some of the review procedures that planning commission would normally do. So I think that this should be more explicit what the change, what feature shown means, and that when something is going to be added or changed on the public facilities map, that it's clearly specified. Second point is around doing more to consider existing and future density related to the issues of amenities and maybe livability. I'll give you just a couple of examples. So within the RB corridor, which is highly, highly dense, there is no community center, where like no recreation center at all. Like, so you have to go, quite far to get to a community center. Those are some big things. In Boston or Virginia Square, the last, I believe the last public purchase of land was from parks was 1984. And we don't even have small things like top lots and dog play. So
Thank you. And if you have other comments, we're happy to take
thanks.
comments as well. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna move to the two in-person that are online in the other room. Yeah,
In the other room.
in the other room.
Okay.
So
They are.
and they are the first one is Joanne Elizabeth Johnson.
Ms. Johnson?
Great, thank you. Good evening. I want to address the gap between what the county promises with increased density and what we already know to expect, because EHO has already shown us exactly what happens, the process of that. The county says this density will create affordable housing, but the EHO model shows otherwise. These projects are expected to produce oversized multi-unit structures on small lots, towering over modest homes, removing green space, increasing noise, worsening drainage and parking, and disrupting long-established neighborhood character. And these units are expected to sell or rent at very high prices, not affordable runs. We were told EHO would create affordability. It is not affordability, it is displacement. The longstanding character of our neighborhoods are disappearing. Seniors who saved for decades to age in place now find themselves overshadowed by these potential buildings that erase privacy and neighborhood character. What happened with EHOs is exactly what will happen again if the county moves forward with broader density increases. Instead of affordability, we will see more displacement, more upheaval, and less livability, especially for seniors and long-term residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer Jones.
Hi, I'm Spencer. I went for a run the other day and I ran past the preschool that I went to when I was a kid, Little Beginnings in Clarendon. And I was reminded of what I think the most important thing we can do as Arlington County residents is that we need to make sure that Arlington is the best place in the country to grow up and raise kids of your own. Unfortunately, I don't think we're doing a very good job of that right now. I think Arlington has become unaffordable. The average house, the median house in Arlington sells for $1.2 million. I think there's important things we can do to build more housing and make Arlington more affordable. I think houses are generally the most expensive type of housing. So the median townhouse sells for $700,000. The median condo sells for $400,000. So legalizing more townhouses and more condos, I think, is an important step to making Arlington a better place to raise a family. And furthermore, Arlington has the most expensive childcare in the country. It's good that we're here in the Long Range Planning Commission, because I think if we stick with our current trajectory, we're in trouble. It's not the right trajectory. Now's the time to plan to make Arlington more affordable so that people who grow up here can have kids of their own. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've got 7 virtual speakers.
Okay. Do it.
All right, so the first is Brooke Alexander.
Yeah, Ms. Alexander.
She requested to speak online by email, so I'm not sure if she still wants to, but.
Ms. Alexander, going once? Going twice? Okay, if she shows up, we'll go back to her.
Sure.
Next.
Alice Hogan.
Ms. Hogan? Ms. Hogan?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Okay, wonderful. My name is Alice Hogan. I'm also a lifelong Arlingtonian. I've lived in 4 zip codes here in our county. You know, and our county no longer is the bedroom community it was when I was a child. I remember Little Vietnam. I was here before the Metro, 66. Arlington made some really excellent choices and they stepped out into the future. And that's how we're so successful and where we are today. We cannot etch our community in stone now. We need to continue to be nimble and responsive to what's going on in the community. That means our plan should be forward looking. We need to keep in mind we have changing demographics, lots of older people, younger people, people of color, much lower income workers. And how do we keep our community safe and open and welcoming to all of them? In addition, we need to be addressing segregation and the lack of opportunity in certain neighborhoods. So I believe that we need the density in appropriate places and throughout the county to be responsive to our growing population, to make sure there's space for everyone, to address that scarcity that's causing lack of affordability in housing as well as childcare. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the record, that was perfectly 90 seconds.
Well, check it out.
Sorry, who's next? I just felt like I didn't say that.
Alex Colshorn.
Yes, I've been recently living here for just a few months. So what I would like to see is I would probably like to remove the language of quote retention of the predominantly residential character of the county and limitation of intense development to limited and defined areas. We do need to build housing for someone like me who's just starting out, because we're trying to build a lot more housing and a lot of it's more unaffordable. Even before COVID hit, housing was unaffordable, especially for new ones. The pandemic only exacerbated the post-COVID inflation. And we are doing a good job of building more dense development near the transits, but I believe we could do more, especially with the EHOs and the missing middle housing, which could provide more options for families who are starting out. And we would like to see more mixed income housing or as well as mixed use development. And I would like to remove the bullseye concept along the tapering of the transit corridors, like whether it's Boston or Roslyn. And I would like to remove parking mandates. Other cities have done it, and we should also remove parking mandates as well, parking minimums, or what I could call it. And last but not least, I would like to include more bike options, like all transit options, or transportation, I would say, not just the ones that are, not just ones by car. We should allow for biking as well as public buses as well. And last but not least, we should allow for growth along transit roads like Langston Boulevard as well as Columbia Pike. And we should expand the definition of walkable from 1/4 mile to 1, 2, or even a mile, as well as allowing for more.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Hard commercial, they can't hear me.
I mean, you're toddlers, I get it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Better than my
All right, Sharon DeVee.
Hi, I would like to point out the obvious missing engagement, which is demonstrated by the statistics shown tonight. Owners who have specifically purchased property and may be diverse and may be disabled are mostly absent from engagement to date. This should not move forward without the engagement of owners and civic associations. The guiding principles matter as they will shape the updates of future element plans. As the former chair of the Emergency Preparedness Advisory Commission, I would also like to emphasize that the preparedness for man-made and natural disasters is mostly absent from consideration. As someone with a disability, I feel that Arlington needs to better adapt development so that it does not displace the disabled, as I, for one, feel that that the development near me is prohibiting me from staying in my home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick Epstein.
Mr. Epstein?
Yes, good evening. A couple of quick points. One, I want to associate myself with the prior comments that emphasize we need to retain our award-winning model that concentrates density in a certain transportation corridors and preserves our residential neighborhoods. Also, I think Mr. Richardson raised a good point, and that's about this process. It's almost like the existing principles in our current comprehensive plan are being ignored, and staff is starting with a clean slate. What should be happening is those principles should be put in front of the residents, and their opinion should be asked about those principles. Why should we change them? What would they prefer? And I'm afraid that what will happen is we'll get a new set of principles, and the principle that will be missing is the exact principle about concentrating density along transportation corridors. Finally, we talk about affordability in housing. I certainly have that concern, but it needs to be achievable affordability. Arlington is one of the most expensive areas in the region for real estate, and it may be that the only way to get affordable housing that middle-class people can afford is by subsidy. But when you have subsidies certainly from the government, that means you may be raising taxes, which may make other people find Arlington unaffordable. And I've seen at least some statistics that people are moving out of Arlington. So I think when we talk about affordability, it needs to be in the context of Arlington and a more nuanced conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeremy Welsh Loveman.
Thank you. So I'm a renter in the courthouse neighborhood, and I'm just making a comment to say that I believe that the comp plan should allow for more dense housing development in more of the county. Allowing for more housing development would make the built environment more livable by increasing housing affordability. It would increase harmony with nature by allowing more people to live car-free lives. It would promote health by encouraging more walking, and it would promote a resilient economy because a higher density of residents can support a wider variety of businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, just to allow Elizabeth Fields, I think she wanted an opportunity to speak, 'cause I know she's with a disability.
Oh, no, I yield my time. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Do we want to see the last two people who didn't respond before last call?
Sure. Hold on, let me see which ones those were. Brooke Alexander, thank you. Yes, Brooke Alexander.
Last call for Brooke? Okay.
And I don't, I think that was it. It was just Brooke.
That was a good memory. He's not.
Yeah, he's very good.
Alex Reed came on.
We heard from, I think, everyone else.
Okay, I believe we've covered all of our public speakers. There's one hand raised, but I think that's just like leftover.
That's Rick.
That's Rick. Rick, you can put your hand down. Okay, thank you all. I appreciate everyone bearing with us. We were relatively efficient. It was advertised till 8:30, 11 minutes over. Apologies. Thank you very much. Look forward to the next one. Thank you. Bye. All.